What's happening, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to the Crash Bang Boom podcast. Today's guest is drummer Brent Prager of Austin, Texas noise rock trio Cherubs. Cherubs put out their first record, Icing, in 92, followed by 94's Heroin Man, the latter of which saw them breaking up prior to the album even being released, and with minimal press and the relatively obscure genre they operated in, they all assumed their albums would simply be lost in time. But the internet has a way of making the obscure resurface, and Cherubs found themselves in a position to make a comeback after an 18-year hiatus. In the meantime, Brent dealt with everything from addiction to aches, pains, injuries, and even vertigo. So check this crazy-ass story out, y'all. It is a good one indeed. New Cherubs record, Immaculata High, out July 26th. Get your hands on it and be on the lookout for them bringing both the noise and their new van to a town near you. Speaking of records, if you're looking to put out vinyl for your project, go on over to NewOrleansRecordPress.com to check out the vinyl coloring, packaging, mastering, and more options, and you can add it all up in the real-time quote generator. Need assistance with design or packaging? They can help you with that, and they print both 12 and 7-inch records in both 150 and 180-gram variants, and they print small runs of 100 and larger runs up into the thousands. So hit them up, and that's NewOrleansRecordPress.com. Crash Bang Boom podcast can be found on iTunes Podcast, my SoundCloud, YouTube pages, Stitcher, Luminary, Google Play, Podbean, and more. If you like what you hear, feel free to check out the other previous 140-plus episodes and give me a like, a subscription, a positive rating, a glowing review, and or all the above. The support is appreciated. It is free, after all. All right, conversation with Brent Prager of Cherubs. I forgot to ask if he's related to the Prager family / white port makers in Napa, California that I was just experiencing when I was recently out there. They do make one incredible white port. And that's right. I can be fancy sometimes. Anywho, let's do it, y'all. Crash, bang, boom!
Crowds go mad with joy. Get the drummer.
Brent Prager, what's happening, dude? How you doing? Cherubs, oh my God. What is happening here?
I still trying to figure that out, man.
Yeah, going on 30 years of figuring it out, right?
Yeah, exactly. With about an 18-year hiatus.
Wow.
Just to complicate the perception of what's really happening here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's impressive, man. Well, congrats also on the big 5-0 birthday yesterday.
Thanks for reminding me. Appreciate that. I had forgotten.
I just hit 43 on July 4th, so I understand some of what's happening here.
This cancer's got to stick together.
Absolutely, man.
We're so sensitive.
I know, and I like talking about it as well. There's some really incredible cancer drummers out there, and Stuart Copeland, Ringo Starr, Ian Pace of Deep Purple,
Nice.
Thomas Hakam of Sugar, you, myself, Dan Smith, who is playing tonight in Low Dose, opening for your band. Y'all have the same birthday, which is especially crazy.
Yes.
Philly Joe Jones, Joe Morello, Mitch Mitchell of Jimi Hendrix. So
That's my boy.
hey, man,
Yeah.
cancer drummers sticking together, like you said.
You've done your research.
After I'm going on 140 episodes of this shit, I figured at least a few fucking things out,
Yeah.
Well, congrats on this new record. The tracks that I've heard thus far seem super cool. Obviously, y'all are coming through Brooklyn. You have a show tomorrow night. So tell me a little bit about this new record, Immaculata High. Did I mispronounce it?
No, that's great. It's a mouthful, I know.
Immaculata High.
Yeah, you got it.
It's good.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this record and tell me about just coming in this weekend. Did y'all flew in from Austin to New York and you got another show tomorrow, right?
Exactly, yeah. We flew in, came in a couple days early to see our people here.
Yeah, because you lived here for a little while.
I lived here 93 to 95.
Right on.
Made some chosen family friends, and
Awesome.
and some Austin folks started to migrate little by little, and then they all met each other, and now they're just all up here. Just
Right.
a big old happy family.
I know. We have
Yeah.
mutual friends that I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Small world, man.
What's up, Harry Wilson?
Yeah, man. What's happening, dude? Well, tell me a little bit about, I guess, this run. Where are y'all playing tonight? Obviously, it's St. Vitus with Low Dose, as I mentioned earlier.
Right.
Where are y'all playing tomorrow night?
Kung Fu Necktie in Philly.
Awesome. With Low Dose?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. They're from Philly. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Dan has a great drum set. Yeah, he'll have to tell you the story about the snare drum and the accompanying drum set that he has for that snare drum if you don't know it.
Oh, no, I
he
haven't
got it
heard
from a
that yet.
guy that custom made it and then passed away, and he got the guy's last drum set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like special.
Whoa. Okay.
So don't fuck it up.
I'll play with reverence. Yeah.
right?
I'll try.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about this new record. It's coming out, physical copies at least, I think, July 26th.
That's right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We're pretty stoked about this.
Sounds great, what I've heard thus far.
This is all bonus gravy on top. I mean, this is all beyond that point where we had no expectations anymore,
Right.
and it keeps coming. Every chance we've had to record new stuff, write new songs, it's we're standing there scratching our heads, trying to figure out how much we want to reinvent ourselves, how much we want to stay true, give nods to the past, and. We overthink this stuff. I'll go ahead and admit that. It's
Right.
We really bust our ass in the song arranging process.
Right.
Song construction is a major undertaking.
Yeah, man.
But then once we figure out, because we get bored easily, and,
Yeah.
and there'll be this part that happens 4 times in the original incarnation of it, and it never stays 4. It'll get knocked down to 3 times.
Yeah.
And then if it's lucky, it'll stay there, but it might get, a half a time before it's all over.
Right.
And then maybe we'll do it twice later on when we come back to that part, if
Yeah.
we come back to that part. So,
Exactly.
yeah, we complicate things for ourselves, but
Right.
we enjoy the process.
Well, you had 4 years pretty much since the last record to write this stuff and do everything. How was the process of recording it for you, drumming wise?
Oh, it was killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was.
Nice.
There's a lot of physical limitations that I deal with these days, being the, as you mentioned, 15-year-old drummer. And I was a little bit of a wild hyena in my 20s.
Okay.
And I abused some ligaments and other areas. And I'm paying the price. I deal with ripped this, torn that, bulging this, slipped that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And so I've had to kind of change things up style-wise a little bit and manage it. But it's all good because the end result has really been I'm a more tasteful drummer. You know, I can sit there and listen to my drumming without cringing now, which is something that I couldn't really say 25 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes ergonomic adjustments that stem from physical pain and trying to deal with that can ultimately affect your sound of your drumming, clearly.
They're limiting my ability to do the goofy things that my brain tells me to do.
Okay.
And it's like those just can't happen anymore.
Right.
I enjoy watching the videos of me being goofy, in 1992. But, things have changed. Yeah.
Wow, man.
It's cool.
So recording it wise, where did y'all record the record?
Cacophony Recorders.
Okay.
Not Cockapony, as it says on the record sleeve.
Oopsie daisy.
I'm not going to point any fingers. I'm not going to mention any names.
Okay.
But there was an editing, proofreading error that occurred.
Whoopsie daisy.
And so my heartfelt apologies to Eric at Cockapony Recorders.
Yeah, there you go, right? Oh my God! Were you able to knock out most of the tracks within a day or so, or how long were you recording drums?
Basics was a couple days.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many songs on the record?
Oh man.
Dozen or so? Dozen or 13?
Yeah, let's go with a dozen or so.
A baker's dozen? Dozen? What? Either
At
way.
the most, yeah. I couldn't tell you how many there are.
Yeah. Well, in the process of writing this stuff, did you start to make some of these ergonomic adjustments more recently? And the problems the physical problems that you've been having, were those a byproduct of some of your early drumming years or separate stuff?
It started with early drumming.
Did it?
And yeah, and I was just trying to come up out of my stool and just
crush.
Cromp down and cromp. That's a new word.
That's a new word.
Write that down.
Write it down. CROMP.
Yeah. Super caveman. I've
Right.
always been a hack. I've never pretended that I was a technically skilled drummer.
Right.
I just want to play, what sounds best where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, power was my thing. I'm just gonna do everything with power.
Yeah.
And be impressive in that way and try to hit things where they're supposed to go. And I tore some stuff up. And then I've had a physical job for many years. I've been doing the same job for 24 years.
What do you do?
I'm a production foreman.
Okay.
Wasn't always the guy. So I was, out there loading trucks and setting up stuff and handling a lot of steel and tables and chairs and heavy things like that.
So between lifting and drumming and maybe some bad form in your early years, you might be paying for it in your lower back, no less, which is a bitch.
And my neck,
really?
And my shoulder,
really?
And my forearm tendons.
Really?
And it's kind of a beautiful bummer because it's all working out. I dare say I wouldn't change a thing. I don't know how true that is, but I like the sound of that,
When you in your early years, were you sitting? I mean, you're, for those that are listening that might not know. I mean, you're every bit as tall as I am, so you got to be out 6'2", if not taller.
6'3" and a half.
6'3" and a half. All right, so,
not a good height for a drummer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
not ideal.
I'm slightly shorter than you, so I hear you.
Yeah.
Were you sitting really low or sitting really high, or were you feel like you were hunched over in your early years?
I was sitting higher.
Oh, okay.
Not a whole lot higher.
Okay.
But yeah, I was sitting higher. And I had cymbals up a lot higher, and
okay.
I was really going for full extension,
right.
ape arm kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And just really putting my back and my neck into it. I was allowing myself to really get into it, for lack of a better word.
Sure.
And so hopefully people who saw some of those shows appreciated it, because I'm all fucked up now.
God damn, that is wild. Yeah, I've had no shortage of injuries myself, just ridiculous stuff, but I fractured my hand and then sprained it again. I fractured my shoulder 2 months ago. I've had some of those issues, but thankfully I was around enough drummers and I think studied with guys who showed me a little bit about posture and stuff like that, and thankfully thus far 26 or 27, 28 years I think at this point I'm into it. I've been thankfully good. So
right on.
Keep my fingers crossed on that shit.
I just started learning about posture and earplugs about 4 years ago.
Dude, you didn't wear earplugs either?
Never.
How is your hearing?
Dude, it's really bad. but even more than that, the first time out of the gate after our 18-year break, we go into the room, we set up the shit, we turn everything up loud because everyone's scared and wants to cover up what they're really doing.
Yeah.
And they just want it to be loud.
Loud as shit, yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I've never worn earplugs. Fuck earplugs, right?
Right.
And I'm playing, and we jammed for 2 hours, and it felt great. It was incredible. And then I stopped playing, and then the room started spinning, and I got nauseous.
Whoa.
And I was like,
did you get vertigo
whoa,
or something?
Exactly. I was like, what's going on? And I thought, I'll just sit down, drink some water. It'll go away. And it didn't. And I made my way home, laid down on the couch. I'm like, I'll take a nap for a while, drink some more water. It'll go away. It didn't. And I woke up the next day. I'm still sick, and my head just feels like it's full of some kind of foggy gas. And I was like, okay, earplugs, bro.
Whoa.
Earplugs.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
What did you just
I got old, and things changed in my inner ear, and they just weren't having it.
Right.
I like to crack the snare hard, and
I hear you.
And that just, that thrashes your ears.
Yes, it does.
I'm just old. I just have to succumb to that reality.
Well, what's crazy, I think about 3-4 years ago, I never really had too much in the way of ringing in my ears, but about 3 years ago or so, it started, and I've always been consistent with earplugs and hearing protection.
Yeah.
Condoms, not so much. Didn't protect myself in that way necessarily.
How many kids do you have?
Multiple, one that I know of and that I claim. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
So I know obviously y'all flew into town for this weekend to do this show and the Philly show tomorrow night, like you were saying.
Yes.
Looks like y'all have some other shows. Are y'all pretty much doing kind of in the weekend warrior mode where y'all are just going out on weekends, and are you flying out for those shows?
No. So in August, we are, for the first time in 24 years, going to hop in a van.
Really?
That we now own.
Okay.
And we're going to drive our happy asses up to a show and then find a place to stay, and then wake up the next day and do it all over again for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's something that Kevin and I, over coffee, for 10 years, swore up and down we would never do.
Right.
And here we are, because, you gotta roll with it. When things change, you have to adapt. And
Absolutely.
this is what's called for. We have a record that we feel could be of some consequence.
Yeah.
We're proud of it. We enjoy playing the songs.
Nice.
A little nervous about going out there to some of these markets where we haven't played in decades and playing a bunch of new stuff, because I know, as a fan of music myself, I want to hear those fucking hits.
Yeah.
The things that I grew up with, that I have emotional connections to. So we're trying to balance it as best we can.
Yeah.
But it's, when you like the new stuff that you've done, it's really hard not to play it, because you feel like you're a Cherubs cover band if you get up there and you play 10 songs off of a record that came out 30 years ago, 25 years ago.
Right.
But I'm really looking forward to it. There's a couple of cities that we never made it to.
Okay.
That we have shows booked this time around.
Nice.
There's a couple of really special people. Sean Gribb, shout out to him big time. I'm not sure if you're aware, but there was a Cherubs tribute record that was put together some years back, and it was about 20 bands, at least half of them from Europe, all covering our songs.
No way. I didn't know about this. I got to check this out.
This is one of the foundational reasons that we got back together.
Wow.
Because we kind of didn't have a clue that people held us in high regard.
Yeah.
We thought we were just kind of this blip that a few people liked at the time, and it went away. But then social media came along, and I started getting hit on MySpace from these guys in Italy.
Yeah.
Crazy guys talking to me about this band. I'm like, what the fuck? And fast forward however many years, those guys, we've gone on tour with them.
Wow.
In Europe. They've come to visit us, played shows with us here. We're like family. I hate to do it, but I gotta give a little shout out to the social medias, because they have done a few pretty magical things.
Right.
Yeah.
Social media, slippery slope.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. But Sean Gribb, he put together this thing while he's cleaning commercial floors at night all over the country, and he's curating this thing, and he's dealing with all these people and getting stuff mastered, and just an incredible human being with an incredible heart. And we've never gone up to his city and played before. We've never played Detroit.
Gotcha.
So I'm super looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Those are the shows that I enjoy by far the most. It's not the big rock shows on the big rock stage at the big rock club so much.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I love going to these places where there's someone who's just so fucking into it and anticipating it.
Absolutely.
And it just, oh my God.
I mean, going on 30 years, I'd like to think you've earned it. Hell yeah, man. First of all, Cherubs started like 91. Is that about when y'all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the first record, Heroin Man's, like 94, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had broken up just before it came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. At the time, because I was thinking about the year of 94, I mean, like, Hammerhead put out their Into the Void record, if we're talking about kind of noise rock, which I would certainly say y'all are a part of.
Yeah.
Also that year, I mean, Helmet sort of, I think, started out kind of as a bit of a noise rock band with Strap It On in 90, and then 94 they put out Betty, same year. So there's so many killer records that came out in 94, but if y'all are in Austin, who were y'all digging at the time, or were there any local bands? Was there a scene, or did you just feel like y'all are outliers in this kind of, sub-genre of noise rock?
There was definitely a scene. There's always been some scene in Austin. At that time, there was a lot of really creative, noisy bands, but a lot of them had a lot more punk rock influence than we did. Mm-hmm. The bands that I enjoyed going out to see a lot, I was in another band for 20 years called Fuck Emos.
Fuck Emos, nice.
Yeah,
all right.
And a lot of these bands were just all about finding some really shitty small place with no stage to play and cram 70 people in and just like slaughter each other while we're playing music and just have a great time. And I do miss that.
I hear
quite a bit. But bands that we were really into, we loved the Cows. We loved Unsane.
Oh, yeah.
And they became, acquaintances and or friends, or actually, in the case of Unsane, like family.
Yeah, I've interviewed Vinny Signorelli. Talk about a character.
Yeah.
Whoa, he is such a classic Italian Brooklyn character, man. He's incredible.
I love that guy.
He is amazing. Yeah, I mean, definitely I would think, when I kind of think of noise rock, I always think of Unsane. It's hard not to. And then ultimately you had like bands like Bark Market as well that I think less people know about, also happening in New York.
And Rock Savage, the drummer, was from Austin.
I've interviewed him. I know. That's
he
another
played in Miracle Room.
That's right.
Which was this great industrial band that my very old band, Healing Explosion, used to play with.
No way.
With Nice Strong Arm and Miracle Room. That was a common bill.
Nice.
But yeah, there was a lot of that going on. There was industrial meets kind of noisy punk rock, etc. Not a whole lot of noise per se, but there was always this trail of Scratch Acid appreciators / worshipers.
Right. Did you see Scratch Acid back in the day?
I saw him at the very end.
Really?
And then I saw him 20 years later at their reunion.
Okay.
And they were amazing both times.
Right. And of course, Jesus Lizard back at it again to this day.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome, always.
Yeah, it's great to see.
That's killer that you got to see Scratch Acid. That is definitely a pretty quintessential band if you're talking noise rock that I actually didn't even think about until you had just mentioned it.
Yeah, and like Brett has become a dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
And there was a point in time where I don't know if I could have even spoken to him if I would have been introduced to him. So,
really?
Yeah, a long time ago. They were it for me for a while there.
Really? A life changer?
Yeah, they really did. Yeah, Husker Du, Scratch Acid, the Butthole Surfers really changed the way I thought about what music is supposed to be.
I mean, the Butthole Surfers so absolutely wild. I saw them back in the day as well. And, they were originally San Antonio, right? Did they end up in Austin at some point?
They were really an Austin band.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
They're really an Austin band.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were going to see them as well back in the day?
I did. That was one of the first shows I saw was them with Stickmen with Ray Guns in Dallas. I grew up in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
As did Gibby.
Yes.
Yeah. King is a dear friend. You know, he's the owner of Trance. He's the guy that said, hey, you guys need to go record a record, and I'm going to put it out.
No way.
Before we ever played a show, before we had ever written a song, he bought into us. Yeah. He wanted to buy low and sell high, I guess.
Really?
I don't know if he ever got the opportunity to sell high, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, he believed us from the beginning. He actually was the first drummer of Cherubs for 1 2-hour get-together. Okay. And apparently it was obvious to everyone involved that this wasn't going to work. Uh-huh. And so then they talked to me, and King was like, I want to be a part of this. Yeah. Yeah. And they knew of you via you playing in Fuck Emos? No, I played bass in Fuck Emos. Oh, wow. But they knew of me because we worked together at Wheatsville, co-op grocery store together. And they worked at grocery store job? I had played in a band in Houston, Sugar Shack, for a couple years. Okay. And, yeah, we just all knew each other. I was a big fan of Ed Hall. I used to go see them a lot. Nice. And go up to Kevin and ask him goofy questions about his kick drum pedal and things like that. Right, exactly. Yeah. So in the 90s, when y'all are starting out, like I said, this is already a pretty niche genre in noise rock, especially in the early years. I think there's more reverence for it now. And then, I mean, today I think you have bands like Mets and Whores and some of these bands that are a continuation of some of that noise rock stuff. But at the time, I mean, were y'all playing some pretty fucking bizarre shows? Is there any particular show that was just absolutely absurd that you recall playing? Well, the short answer is yes, I'm sure there were some. But unfortunately, I don't have the best memory for things like that all the time. There was a lot of pills involved in my life back then. Yeah. And it really took its toll on my ability to recall. But really? Yes. I mean, there's things that stand out, but I can't think of a really wacky pairing so much. Mm-hmm. But we did play shows with the other noise bands. We played shows with Unsane and Hammerhead and Cows. And that's sick. Yeah. Yeah. Jesus Lizard, whoever came through. We were. So if y'all started in 91, the record comes out in 94. So that first run was really only like 3 years. Yes. Did you feel after y'all had called it quits that once Heroin Man came out, did you start to notice that there was some appreciation for the record, or not even so much at the time? No. You were like, whatever. There was no mechanism to recognize. Right. There was no feedback. Yeah. Like the only way to get feedback was to go tour and have people show up and tell you, oh my God, I love this record, or what's up with that record? It's a piece of shit, or something. But there was just no way to know, and it really MySpace and then later Facebook and YouTube.
Right.
Is how we started to figure this out. And then Discogs, you get these messages from people going, "Have you seen that your record on Discogs is going for $270?" I'm like, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about?
Right.
It must be a mistake, a typo, or something. But then, I took a look and it was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, somebody gives a shit. So
amazing.
So maybe I should consider doing that again too.
Wow, man. Yeah, speaking of records going for a lot of money and reverting back to who we mentioned earlier, Rock from Bark Market, I had mentioned to him when I interviewed him that I was jealous that one of my buddies has a Bark Market Elron record, like a vinyl. It was a re-release, and then he called me and he said, "Hey man, I got something for you." And he
That's
swung
a pretty
by.
good Rock.
Yeah, a raspy thing. and then he gave me one of their records. He had like 3. He said he found 3 in his closet, so he gave me one.
Very nice.
So I have this Bark Market Elron record that is super rare.
That's really
I know,
nice.
it's awesome. I'm like, wow. I almost don't even want to play it. I'm almost nervous to play it, but.
Well,
it's
you
awesome.
can just listen to it on YouTube.
That's right,
and
exactly.
Keep it pristine.
Yeah, right. Just look at it from afar.
Actually, Rock Savage got me my best job that I ever had in New York at this place, Colonial Tools and Equipment.
Oh, because he worked there.
Yes, for a long time, and he got me a job there, and he warned me about the guy who was in charge. He was kind of the operations manager.
Uh-huh.
He's like, this guy gets on people's nerves real fucking bad.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys that work there have been there for 20 years. They're union. They can't get rid of them. And they're going to talk so much shit about him. You're going to want to treat him with no respect.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't get caught in that trap because he will get rid of you the second you start acting like that.
Mm-hmm.
5 months and 30 days later, which was one day before I was eligible to join the union, I was handed my pink slip by my boss, Dennis, because I had started, being like, yeah, whatever, what the fuck to him. It was unavoidable. I was a young punk kid, and he was annoying as hell, and yeah, so be it. So I lost my job. Turned out for the best. I wound up back in Austin.
Yeah.
I got a kid out of that deal. He's going to be 23. He's badass. I love him. Yeah.
That's wild. Mine is 16 months.
Oh, yeah.
So
You're having a lot of fun.
He's good now. Those first few months are trying, to say the least. That's a euphemism for. You can think of other less nice words for it, but
yeah,
it is challenging. Well, when you ended up in New York, you said that was what, 92 to 95?
It was December of 93 that I moved here.
93 to 95.
Yes.
So just for 2 years, why New York?
Oh, it was always my destination.
Really?
I knew it from a long time ago. As a little kid, I was just enamored with it, and I think that's just something that exists in people, or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think for the vast majority of the people who are drawn to New York at an early age, they make a pilgrimage, whether it's extended visit or just fucking say fuck it and go move there.
Right.
Which is not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because
it took Hurricane Katrina to blow me out of New Orleans up here.
Oh, okay.
If that wouldn't have happened, I'd still be there.
Yeah.
And then that once again, so then everything changes.
Yeah.
I don't have a child, or at least not this one.
Exactly. Yeah. All of this affects the fact that I've got an 18-year-old stepdaughter that I love, and a son that I love, and a job that I've held for 24 years through full-blown addiction and everything else. It's like, like I said before, I really wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
I'm fucked up, but it's me. It's good.
Yeah, right. And that 18-year break there that we're talking about. So once again, you put out Heroin Man, and then 18 years later, which is so crazy. So in that interim, obviously, you come up here, you go back to Austin. Were you playing drums much at the time? It sounds like you were having.
No, I was mostly playing guitar and bass.
Okay.
I was playing with Fuck Emos regularly.
Gotcha.
We did some tours. We even went to Europe in 2007 and played a festival in Norway.
Wow.
Above the Arctic Circle, this silly little noisy punk band from Austin. It was
so bizarre.
It was incredible. Yeah.
Damn, dude.
But I was doing that, and occasionally some friends would want to jam out, and I didn't even have drums at the time. And I was like, if you got a set, I'll come over. And I started playing with some folks in between girlfriends, during breakups. It's the best time to get a band together. It's like in the old bedroom where her stuff used to be. Now it's amps and drums and microphones and pedals, and yeah, that's what you want. But I was just doing a little bit from time to time, so I was pretty rusty.
Yeah,
and I was actually unaware of my limitations because they hadn't been tested in so long. My body hadn't been tested, so when I started playing again, I made some big mistakes and really hurt myself pretty badly a few times.
Damn. Yeah, that vertigo story like almost made me dizzy when you were telling me it.
Yeah.
That is frightening.
I tore my shoulder trying to, cymbals like I used to.
Really?
Yeah. It's still torn. I've been dealing with it for 3 years.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Dude.
I pop the hi-hats a lot now instead of reaching up and grabbing that crash cymbal with my left arm. It's just, it's okay. It's all smoke and mirrors anyway.
Yeah, right. Well, you had mentioned having this job for that long. I mean, when you were having the addiction issues, you were always able to hold down that job and able to do the whole thing?
Incredibly, yes. There was something in me that told me that holding on to that job was not only the source of my income for whatever drugs and alcohol I needed to keep me going, but more importantly, the bigger picture was really the thing keeping me alive.
Yeah.
Because without that, the dominoes just fall.
Yeah.
And I sensed that if I fell a couple of steps down, that I was just going to be just
a real
all in. Fuck it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
So I held on to that thing with my teeth and my fingernails.
Might have saved your life?
I went to work really, really sick a lot of times. I did a lot of illicit things in public bathrooms.
Yeah.
It was a rough time. Yeah.
Damn.
But like I said, now I'm uniquely qualified to help an addict.
Right.
I've been through it, and just I can meet somebody for the first time, and we can discover in seconds or minutes that we've been in the trenches together for a long time.
Right.
And it's cool. I've been sober for 15 years now.
Congrats, man.
And I've been enjoying that for the most part.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I guess it sounds like you play a few instruments, obviously, but when specifically did the drums kind of enter into your life, and how did that come about?
I started in 4th grade playing violin.
Okay.
I got super into that.
Really?
I was concert master of my high school orchestra.
No way.
I wrote a couple of pieces of music for the high school orchestra to perform, and I thought I was going to try to go to Berkeley or something like this. And then I just, I discovered weed and acid, and it just it just changed things.
Well, let me ask you this, because it's always a crucial thing as well. When weed and acid start entering the picture, what music were you listening to that was really, because you have to have an accompaniment. It's not just the drugs, right? There's music that's blowing your fucking mind as well.
That's true. I grew up with Cheap Trick, and Rush and AC/DC and Van Halen, just like every other Dallas kid did.
Right.
And then I started getting turned on to Suicidal Tendencies.
Oh yeah.
And the Buttholes, and Husker Du,
right.
And that's when things just like started tumbling. And then,
and
then I found Bauhaus and Joy Division.
Yeah.
Then I found Scratch Acid, and then I found Pussy Galore, and I was like, oh, okay,
awesome.
This is what I want to do. So I was always a guitar player. I played guitar in a few bands in high school, and I played with some people when I moved to Austin. But at band practices, when everybody would stop, take a break, smoke break, whatever, I would go jump on the drum set.
Yeah.
I was just drawn to it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I waited till everybody left the room because, I didn't want to be too annoying. And I moved to Austin. I'm sitting there eating at a TGI Fridays, and my waiter has this REM button on his jacket. I made a little comment about it, And he's like, oh, you liked REM? I'm like, I used to listen to them a lot. He's like, wow, I got this band, and we really love them, and some other bands. We started exchanging band names, and we had some musical taste in common. He said, why don't you come out to my ranch? We got a drum set out there. We got no drummer or anything. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds kind of perfect, because I love to play the drums, but I don't know how to play the drums.
Oh, my God, this is crazy town.
It was this old blue Sparkle Rogers set. And
wow.
I got to. They're really easy to play, and I got to just kind of figure it out. Go from terrible to not as terrible,
right,
to okay, and
it's
the whole
process.
thing. But it ramped up pretty quick. Once I left that group, it was really not a good situation. But I met some other people that were really like-minded, and I kept redefining what like-minded was. Every band that I advanced to.
Yeah.
And the more and more like-minded we were musically, the more my drumming started to kind of have this style of its own, or taste of its own. And I just started feeling like, man, this is sick. This is fucking great. I didn't know I could do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the physical connection and the cathartic nature of playing drums, especially when you're young, it gave me an outlet that, I don't know. If I would have just gone to mixed martial arts or something. I don't know. I needed to beat on something, so I might as well make music and arrange songs and entertain that whole side of your brain and everything else. And I didn't have that creative outlet like that prior to that, so it was major for me, and still is to this day.
Yeah,
I still can't believe it.
Of course,
it's been the most constant thing in my life. It has been drumming.
Right on. I will never forget the first person that actually gave me a compliment on my drumming.
I'll tell you about the first guy that talked shit on one of my drum solos. So I'll tell you that story after you tell me this guy's compliment.
This guy was my boss at Sound Exchange. His name is David Lewis, and he was putting a band together called Healing Explosion, and he's the guy that turned me on to a lot of the music that I later came to love and hold dear: Sonic Youth, Pussy Galore, etc. I won't list them all, but. He saw me in a band that was really terrible, and it's a band that was just with some like college roommates and stuff, and I just wanted to play drums and just learn how to play, so I played with fucking anybody, really. But he saw me play in this band, and after the show, he said, Brent, your band is really terrible, but you're incredible. You're way too powerful for that band. Let's do some stuff, because we like the same shit. And that's the first time that I ever had any inkling that somebody would want me to actually be a drummer in their band.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
The story that I was going to tell you, which is conversely, my first drum solo that I ever played was in my junior high school, and we played it in the gymnasium, and there was, people were in the bleachers and everything, and there were two other drummers, and then so I think I was last. And it was like on Wipeout of all songs. Super easy. And I tried to maybe make it a little bit more complicated when it came to me. And man, I broke down and sucked, and it fell apart. And one of these douchebags that I went to junior high school with, who also was a drummer but didn't have the balls to get out there and do it like we did, the first guy to come up to me was like, dude, that sucked, man. I'm like, you fucking asshole. So then we had to go back and do it later that night. So I just like sat in my car and listened to Megadeth's Rust in Peace over and over and got super jacked and like went in, and I fucking nailed that one. But the first one, man, I bailed. So I redeemed myself and had to get Megadeth to pull me through it. But man, that first one was so embarrassing. Like, it's still to this day, like, I'd have to go to hypnosis to get it out of my head, I think. It still affects me a little bit, and I have it in my head when I think about playing drum solos, is that original failure.
That dude did you a favor, man. Come on.
I know. I suppose he did, because I definitely did end up practicing a whole lot from that shit. Well, Brent, it was good talking to you, man. Going on almost 30 years later. You're a little bumped up, a little bruised, but you're making it happen, still loving playing. And it's amazing, how interest can turn, and something that you would have thought would have been just left in the dust somehow and forgotten about. There's some reverence, and you're capitalizing on it and getting out in a van again and doing it to it, man. It's crazy.
It is, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it until it's gone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
I'll keep shifting my styles periodically,
Yeah, man. Cool. Well, man, it was great talking to you. I'm looking forward to the show. Congrats on the new record, and best of luck going forward, my man.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it, dude.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in as always, and thanks to Brent for catching up with me. It was a killer time catching them at Vitus, running through old and new songs, and I definitely look forward to this new record, Immaculata High, coming out. Also good to see them with support band Low Dose from Philly, some of the members previously in Fight Amp. No shortage of awesomeness going down that night. It was definitely a great bill. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Got some good ones coming up. Stay tuned as always. We'll catch you on the next one. Crash, bang, boom!